We're going to take a look at a question here where it's asking, are these two lines parallel? And we're only given points, we're not given a graph, and we're trying to figure out, are these lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Now, let's remember just a little bit of background here. Parallel lines mean that they run exactly parallel to each other, they never cross. We're going to know that they're parallel if the slopes of the two lines are exactly the same. If they're perpendicular, we know that they cross at a 90 degrees. Okay, so somewhere they're going to cross at 90 degrees, and we're going to know that by the fact that their slopes are negative reciprocals. That means that they've been swapped, so they have opposite numerators and denominators, and one will be negative and one will be positive. And then finally, they would be neither if in fact the slopes are not at all the same, like they're not negative reciprocals, and they're also not equal to each other. So let's go through the process of finding the slope of these two lines, and then we're going to determine if they are in fact parallel, perpendicular, or neither. And that part should be pretty easy once we have the slopes. First thing we need to do is find slope. And here's our slope formula. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This equation here can take any 2 points and determine what the slope is between those 2 points on the line. We can simplify it as well to get the actual slope, and we always want to simplify it to determine the lowest possible value for the slope. All right, but what we need to do though is we need to know what is 0.2 and what is 0.1. Well, I'm going to write them out like this. We're going to start with the line that passes through PQ, where P is at -7.2 and Q is at 1.7. Which one is 1 and 2? Well, let's label that 2. X1, Y1 is going to be the first point, or P, and X2, Y2 is going to be our second point, Q. Let's take those numbers and let's plug them in. Now, remember that we're always doing the 2's first and then the 1's. So it's going to be 7 minus 2 and 1 minus -7. And this is how we're going to write it out. Now, when we solve this, 7 minus 2 is 5, and 1 minus -7, be careful with the negatives there, is going to be positive 8. And so we know that this first line here has a slope of 5 over 8. Okay, that number doesn't maybe necessarily mean a lot unless you know kind of the general term of a slope and how that, what it looks like. But we know that this one has a slope of 5 over 8. So let's go through and do the second one and determine what the slope is of the second line, which goes through our S, which is given right there on the side. And again, we need to figure out which one is 1 and 2. And so let's plug in our x1, y1 and our x2, y2. Once we know which is which, we can plug them into our equation, which looks a little bit like this. 1 minus -4 and 5 minus -3. 1 minus -4 is 5. Ooh, there we go, that's good. And 5 minus -3 is 8. And so we have 5 over 8. And if when we look at these two here, they're both exactly the same, which means that in fact they are parallel lines. Yeah, they have the exact same slope, which means they are parallel lines. They won't ever cross each other. They will keep on running side by side forever and ever on the graph. Hope this has helped you. Give a little bit of practice with finding slope as well as understanding a little bit about parallel lines. All the best as you work through your questions.